This is Ian Tournay, producer at Phoenix Labs, where we're making Dauntless. And if you want the latest, best information on the next free-to-play game that you should be playing, then you need to be listening to Budget Arcade.
Hello, gamers, and welcome to Budget Arcade, a free-to-play gaming podcast to help you navigate through the growing realm of free-to-play games. I'm Scott.
I'm Jeff.
I'm Elliot.
And welcome to episode number 38. Just to recap, we play a free-to-play game each week, and then we review it. Actually, this week, though, we had a paid game that was given to us by a indie developer to try it out. Elliot, what was this week's game?
It was Unbroken Soul. It came out on June 30th of 2019 by Chorus Games, and it is rated E for everyone, 10+.
That's not everyone then, is it?
Well, I'm just saying what it said, Jeffrey.
Yeah. 9-year-olds are people, too.
I don't think people are people until like 26, to be honest.
I listen to your podcast. You know you're a horrible person.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I do. I think that's part of my charm.
Yeah.
Gameplay.
This game is a Metroidvania-style platformer. Side-scrolling. What?
Metroidvania?
Okay, sure.
No. You don't think so?
No.
No, not really.
There's not the
why don't you think
backtracking
so?
and like... So what I consider a Metroidvania would be if you... Oh, I can't get up there because I need to learn to double jump. And so you play the game a bunch and you learn how to double jump. Then you double back to get up to that place where you can double jump. You know what I mean? That's a Metroidvania.
Yeah.
This is more of a Mario or Sonic.
Yeah, this would just be more like a Ninja
so just
Gaiden
a regular
type
platformer.
Yeah.
Okay, but I mean, you can go back to the previous levels to try to grind out gold and stuff.
Sure.
That's not the same though. So what I mean is,
you also upgrade your stuff as well. That's the other thing. Like,
right.
Well, you don't really. Okay.
Here's the thing: the problem with that is if there were sections in the earlier part of the game that you couldn't get to after you acquired a skill later on in the game, I might be able to go there with you. But Metroidvania would not be the genre I would apply to it personally.
I mean, the only reason why you're backtracking is to farm gold, right?
Yeah, fair enough.
All right, so gameplay of this, as he said, is a side-scrolling platformer. We did play on mobile phones, but I'm not sure about Scott, but Ellie and I were able to sync our PlayStation 4 and Xbox controllers respectively and play with physical controls. This is a game that does...
I was not.
Oh, you were not able to?
No, I could not get my Xbox controller to sync up with my phone for some reason.
I think
no matter which Xbox controller I used.
Okay, so you did have one with the 3.5 millimeter jack?
Correct. I have two of those and one without. And
so like the original Xbox controllers don't have Bluetooth on them, but the more recent ones do. And I believe as long as you have the headphone jack, you should be able to. But anyway, clearly you weren't able to. And I found it really helpful to have physical controls because I'm definitely not great at virtual controls on phone, and you really need to have precise.
To unplayable with touch controls, in my opinion.
Well, Scott got further than I did,
far.
So I mean that would be the argument. How did you feel about controlling with the screen, Scott?
It wasn't too terribly bad. It is actually a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I would have preferred if it had like a virtual joystick instead of a virtual D-pad.
You can switch it.
Yeah.
Oh, you can? I did not notice that. Was that under the options?
Yes.
Yeah,
you can also
in the
move the buttons where you like. So if you wanted your jump and your attack to be further apart, you could really customize the controls. So really the only limitation is the fact that it is a touch screen. But the developer put a lot in there to be able to try to get around that as much as possible, as well as including controller support. And since I didn't know I could use my controller on my phone, so I went around and kind of played with other games on my phone to see which ones supported controller. And even the NBA Live game I wrote about on the website does not support the controller, but this one did. So he was thoughtful enough to put that in there.
That's nice. Yeah, so with just touchscreen, I wasn't able to use the controller. I probably 10 minutes before we started recording, I got to the final boss.
Okay.
I have not beat him yet, but I imagine I'll be able to beat him by the next couple of days for sure.
Now, Elliot beat the boss, so you can go to his YouTube page, which I think maybe Scott could link in the description. And
I think it's just...
Yeah, I'll link it in the show notes.
Yeah.
Elliot Argues, I think, is just what it is.
And you can see the final boss on this game is insane. Like, I didn't get there, but I was watching Elliot do it, and I actually gave up when I saw how tough it was. I mean, Elliot finished it, but I was like, nope, that's not for me.
I played this game in 4 sittings. I did all the worlds in the first 3 sittings, and the last sitting took me about as much time as like a regular sitting through like 3 worlds to get to the final boss, to beat the final boss. He was very hard to me. So,
I mean, the last 2 levels were pretty ridiculous to transverse in themselves.
yes. Yeah, they were kind of insane. It definitely got harder in some places, but also like easier in others too. Like once you understood the moves, it wasn't my problem with the gameplay was sometimes you'd have to die to see where you needed to go, which I hate that.
Yeah, but at least I didn't notice there was not a what's the word I want to use? If you die, there wasn't anything.
No, there's no penalty.
Take gold away. Yeah, penalty. That's the word.
There's no penalty for dying, which is nice, but it has to be for a game like this.
That I saw.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be in that sort of Meat Boy style where try, and the penalty for dying in Meat Boy was almost nil, but you just had to practice and grind at a level to get there. We should just talk briefly about the controls. You obviously have a D-pad or joystick and a jump button and an attack button. You also, if you're playing with touch controls, have a toggle button that switches between your bow and arrow and your sword. If you used a physical controller, you didn't need to use that toggle. You could just use one of the other buttons, which is one of those things that really improved the quality of the game when you could do that. You could also charge your attack to do a dash move. Now, I didn't get as far as...
Only after you got the skill, though.
Right. You got the skill. I didn't get as far, so there might have been more skills after that.
Yeah, every time you ended a zone, you got some type of skill. Except for the final boss.
There was a charge for the sword. There's a charge for a fire arrow. You also get
3 arrows.
Arrow shot. Mm-hmm. A magnet, which brings any gold towards you or any jewels towards you.
The rope swing.
And there was also a decreased charge time on your special attacks as well.
Yeah.
And I think that was about all of them.
Yeah.
One thing I didn't like, though, was there wasn't a skill set anywhere where it told you what skills you had and what actually they did. And I actually told the developer about that, and he said that he's going to put that in a future update.
Yeah, you can see how much damage you do or how much armor you have, though. So you do have that. So when you level that up, it does show you what those numbers are at, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, and on that sheet, I was expecting there to be like a skill set and what each skill does, but it was missing completely.
Yeah,
and he said that he was going to add that in the later version.
That, and I think he was
actually thanked me for
adding
the
a 4-player mode too, if I'm not mistaken. I read that somewhere. I don't know how true that is. So
yeah. Well, and I also spoke to him, and he's trying to get it onto consoles as well, but he wants to finish polishing up the game on mobile first, and then he's going to try and port it over to consoles. So you can expect to see this on consoles eventually, probably on the Switch and Xbox, probably PlayStation 4.
And I think having a system where you have standard controls, because even when playing with a phone with a controller, it was still awkward because I had my phone propped up and then I had my controller. So having it on the Switch would make a lot more sense for this game for me.
I played on an iPad this week and had it propped up on like a a thing built to hold my iPad. So it really felt like a normal game to me in that sense. So that wasn't a struggle I had while playing at all. But it's just because of the stuff I had ahead of time, to help make that easier for me. So I think on the Switch it would be a lot more enjoyable of an experience overall.
I have a Kindle Fire 10 that I might have been able to do that with, and it could have given me a better experience. It's just not as good as my phone is.
Yeah. Well, we haven't mentioned the actual worlds themselves. There's 9 worlds that you're traversing, 4 zones in each world, and then a boss fight at the end of each of those zones as well. So, and each of the worlds are kind of uniquely different in a sense, but also not at the same time. I mean, as unique as you can kind of make them. There's the ice world and the dirt world and the fire world and like the undead world. It's basically you're kind of like fighting elements.
Yeah, and each boss was corresponded to whatever world you were in.
Correct. Right.
So this is a single developer. This is one person developing this entire game, and it's a pretty good game. It reminds me in like the look and feel of It Lurks Below, just because it's got the pixel art and everything, and then all the music is done by the one guy. And actually, the music was really pretty good for this game. How did you guys feel about it?
I didn't have an opinion one way or the other, so it wasn't offensive in any way. But I don't remember having like, let me turn this up in my headphones, So I think it got the job done, but I didn't. As someone with no musical skill, I take this with a grain of salt. But it didn't do anything for me one way or the other. So
yeah, I wasn't moved by the music either. I was absolutely not moved by the dialogue as well. I found the story to be super basic and kind of annoying, because you would have like dialogue in between boss fights. It would just pause and you have this run of dialogue before you continue the fight. And I really bothered me, actually. It took me out, and it was very frustrating at times.
Yes, that was a little bit frustrating. I have to agree with you on that, Elliot.
And I will third that, but I'll also add to it and say that every time you played a boss and you have to replay bosses, they usually have this dialogue in between phases. And if it happened just the first time, it'd be okay, but every time you fight the boss, the dialogue pops up and you have to skip
get it. You're
again.
my dad. Oh, no.
Spoilers.
I don't care. For what? Who's his dad? Who knows? Am I even talking about the Spark or that random rock dude, or who knows?
Oh, okay.
Could be anybody. Could be his dad. It's the rock guy. Spoiler alert.
Like the actor?
Yeah. But that's basically about it for gameplay, right? It's not, you're just kind of traversing these levels.
Yeah, I'll say that a lot of the bosses were, and I didn't get, again, as far as you guys did, like you played all the bosses. The ones I did play, I thought were well designed. Like, I felt when I died, I was like, okay, I've learned something new. Let me jump back in. And I never got discouraged. Now, watching the final boss fight that Elliot did, I'd probably have gotten discouraged there, but generally I just felt like this boss can be defeated without taking any damage. Let me figure out how to get there. So I think the game is fair in its difficulty, but it is still difficult. It still took a lot of attempts for me to beat the bosses.
I really felt that the difficulty was not linear. Like, boss number 2 for me was like the hardest boss. But like the last 3 bosses, with the exception of the final boss, I like one shot. I had 0 problems with. So I don't know. Some of the bosses were a lot harder than others to me.
How upgraded was your gear for you to be able to one shot?
I didn't really upgrade until like the last zone, really, because I was like, oh, I should do that. So like I didn't use any potions until the last boss, when I like was like, oh, 20% does a lot. I should use a potion.
Oh, see, I never bought the potion.
I didn't either until the last boss, because the potions are 20% upgrade until you die. It's insane.
Yeah, maybe I'll try that for the last boss after I learn. So, and the last boss was just a replay of all the other bosses.
Yeah, but all the gimmicks
alert.
are really gone. Like, some of the bosses you can't touch the edge, but like in the last boss you can touch the edge, you can climb on the wall. So some of those bosses that were like pose a little bit of a threat were super easy because like the mechanic that made them harder, like having spikes on the side of the wall, were gone.
Like the Minotaur.
Yeah, like that fight is so. If you watch the video, if you get hit on that fight, you have screwed up hard because it's so easy to avoid.
So what I was saying about the music though is each level has its own unique music. It does start over in each section of the level, and obviously when you die. But if you just sit there and listen to the music, it's actually pretty decent and runs quite a bit of length before it like loops back into itself.
Paywall.
So there isn't. I mean, there is a paywall, but it's not. This is the first game we've done that's not free to play. The price is $3, right? $2.99.
$2.99. Yep.
Yeah, and so you mentioned it coming to the Switch, and I have no idea what it's going to be priced at on the Switch. And you have posted a meme, Scott, I think on Budget Arcade, or retweeted something where someone's willing to pay $60 for a game on an Xbox, but as soon as anything costs any kind of money on the phone, people get upset. So $3 for a game really is like nothing. But when it's on a phone, that's like 3 times the price of any other premium game, with exceptions. That being said, if I had this game on the Switch for $3, you know what I mean? That would be like, ooh, what a deal.
Yeah.
Like
there's
no reason not to do it at that point. But as soon as it's on the phone, it's like $3. I don't know.
I mean, this game has hours of gameplay in it.
Yeah,
it's
for
not
the price. It's
yeah.
decent. Like it's not bad for $3 and that however long it takes you to beat the game.
Yeah, and if you can sync your controller to it, and if you have a larger screen like an iPad or a tablet, an Android tablet, that could be something where, hey, this is your, because it kind of, as soon as I could hook my control up, I was like, oh, this opens up a whole new world of games for me.
It really does.
The mobile devices are just a home to a virtually limitless amount of games, and being able to actually use a controller on them now, I'm like, I might actually try some of these platformers or whatever. I've been playing Arena of Valor on my phone. I'm like, I wonder if I can use a controller for that. I need to try that. So that is kind of cool. And
I heard that Call of Duty Mobile you can use a controller on, so you might want to check that out, Jeff.
Yeah, no thanks. I like that game for what it is, and it's incredible that it's on the phone, but if I'm going to play a first-person shooter, it's not going to be on phone.
Yeah, there's really not much else to talk about as far as paying for it.
Yeah, you have the game.
It's a $3 interest fee. We can say that there, as far as I know, there's no microtransactions or DLC. You pay your $3 and you're done. Which is how it should be. If you have an upfront cost, 2K games, you should not have to pay for anything else. 2K games.
Yeah.
Not to call anybody out.
With
2K
mobile,
games.
Yeah, I think with mobile though, even if there's any updates, it's free updates because I don't think there's a way to actually pay for, charge for, like, say, an expansion on a mobile game.
Oh, yeah, there is.
Like, I think
you would do it within the game, though.
Yeah, okay. So, you're right. Because, like, Hearthstone, the way they do it is they release a part of an expansion and you can only access that gameplay by paying for it within the game.
Right. There are ways.
Yes.
That is one thing about the free-to-play realm, though, at least, like, you get these updates. Like Chess Rush had an update a month ago, and you didn't have to pay for it; you just had it. But
yep. All right. So, Elliot, what do you say? Is this get your seal?
Yeah. We're going to talk about replayability at all.
Oh yeah, we should.
Who's running this thing?
I don't know.
I'm just trying to be helpful.
Replayability.
Yeah, let's talk about replayability. For the most part, once you get through the game, you beat it, Elliot. Is there any drive to replay it afterward, after you've beaten it?
Like I said, I struggled to beat the final boss. And so I found a zone that I felt like you could kill a large amount of beings and gather their souls. For every soul you collect, you can turn that soul in for more gold. So there was like one zone, I think it was the cave zone. You could run through the cave zone really fast and collect a lot of souls that way. So I could not beat the final boss for a while. So I did that like a handful of times to upgrade my armor, because I thought that was what was holding me back. So I did that for like 10 minutes. And that was the only replaying of zones that I did. Other than once I beat it, I tried to do it with the touch controls just to see if I could do it. And I didn't like it after the first level, so I stopped that. So to me, there was not much replayability here. Because at the end of the game, there's like a little like dialogue, and that's it. And you're just like still playing the game. There's nothing else to add or anything. So the ending is kind of weird, where I thought there was like something else, because it just kind of like continued, but there was nothing.
How many hours did it take you to finish the game, Elliot?
I probably, like I said, I did it in 4 sit-down sessions where I would play a little bit before I would go to bed each night. I did not time myself. I wish I would have. But it took me 4 nights, 4 evenings.
Can you guesstimate?
Oh, man.
Out.
Jeez.
4 hours? 5,
no,
6?
I probably didn't play an hour a night. I probably played between a half hour to 45 minutes a night, probably.
Was it probably 2.5 to 3 hours?
Yeah, but replaying it, I bet I could, even if I started a whole new file, I bet I could zoom through that really quick. Because now I understand
we're
how
talking
all
about
that
your
stuff.
first play, though. And
Yeah, but like for replayability, you could zoom through this game again from start, and it'd be a lot less. But it's definitely got a couple of hours in it.
So it's like
for
$1 an hour.
Yeah, probably. $1 an hour.
Yeah, and I had discussed with Elliot, I was like, now that you've beaten it, since there's not a whole lot of stuff online about this game, you could speedrun this game and be you could be the first person to speedrun this game and hold the record on it.
Probably.
And I mean, that would be the only draw really to replay the game. Or whenever he does some updates on the game. I know he's going to add some other stuff. And I even mentioned to him, it would be cool that once you beat the game to add like a speedrun mode. That way, like it only goes through each of the levels instead of taking you back to the hub each time.
Ugh, that dialogue.
Yeah, take out the dialogue.
Oh, just take out the dialogue anyway.
Automatic upgrades at the end of each level, and then just, straight to each level instead of having it go through and hitting the hub, and then maybe put a timer in there as well. And then you could have like straight speedrun of the game and get, people involved in the speedrun aspect of it.
Yeah, because it's kind of interesting when you look up this game, you see a bunch of like hype articles for the release of the game, but you don't see like hardly any reviews for the game. It's kind of interesting in that sense.
This is truly an under the radar game then.
It really is, in a sense, I think.
Well, we're bringing it to light then. Hopefully we have enough people to listen to the show and be like, hey, maybe I'll try it out. It's only $3.
Judgment.
All right, Elliot, does this get your seal?
I struggled with this line of thought all week because I didn't dislike the game, but I also found it incredibly frustrating at times where you needed to have pinpoint accuracy for the silliest things. But like once you did it once or twice, you could do it every single time without a problem. I also felt like the character kind of slid on ice a little bit. Like his accuracy wasn't like the best. But I'm going to give it my seal. I think for $3, it's worth the time. It wasn't the worst game I've I would have paid to play, but it feels like filler. It's a decent phone game because the levels aren't very long, so you can finish a level pretty quickly. So I'm giving it my seal, but it's just a barely.
Yeah, I mean, even if you don't finish a level, you start back at that level, and you can go back to that level too because of the way the travel system works, which we didn't even talk about.
It's very mobile friendly, which is a good thing, I think.
Yes. How about you, Jeff?
For me, I'm going to kind of go on the no side just because there's a lot, like everything is done in a competent fashion. Like the platforming works and the controls work and the graphics are fine. The music is fine, but there's nothing that makes the game feel unique or draws me back in any way, then it's
completely agree.
It's just a platformer, and I get that one guy made it, and that's interesting. And the fact that he'll probably be listening to this makes me self-conscious, but I really think that, I don't know how many games he's made before, but if this is the first game he made, it's really impressive. And I think
this
you
is
showed
the
Elliot.
second one he's got on mobile, I believe.
Yeah, he has another one getting ready to come out soon too.
Yeah, and I saw
he'll have 3 total.
The one you saw, you commented on something on his Twitter, and I saw that, and it looked appealing. So I'll be interested to see what he does next. And I think if this is like a first effort, it's a really great effort of just getting the basics correct. But outside of that, it's just it's fair.
Yeah,
okay.
I think that's very solid.
So I enjoyed the gameplay for mobile. The touchscreen was actually pretty decent to play. The fact that I got to the final boss not using a controller speaks to the game's ability to be played on touchscreen and not having to worry about having that controller. So it's going to get my seal, but I believe that there's still quite a bit of work that could be done in this game to just polish it up some. And in fact, I wanted to say, if there was any suggestions that you guys had, since the developer will probably listen to this episode.
Well,
we could
mine
put that input in
would
there.
be,
maybe
this is done and dusted. I mean, I know he wants to get it on consoles. I'd say it's done. Let's get the next game. You know what I mean? Like when I put out an episode of a podcast or something, I'm like, well, that's done. I'm not going to go back and keep tweaking and cleaning and tweaking and cleaning. I'm going to try to make the next episode better. And from what I've seen on his Twitter, that's kind of where he is. His next game looks like it's going to be better. And he's cut his teeth on this, and I look forward to seeing what comes next. But I mean, I'm not a gameplay developer, and who am I to say, hey?
Okay. Elliot, do you have any suggestions?
My suggestion would be either focus on the story or just leave it. Like I said, I thought the dialogue really took out of the gameplay for me. The story was really kind of pretty basic, and you could really kind of see what was coming. The cutscenes were just unneeded, so that was my biggest gripe with the game. Was either focus more on being a story-based game or not.
All right, so next week we will be playing Pokemon Quest. That's available on Switch as well as, we believe, Android. Is that what we said?
It might be on iOS as well. I did not check.
Okay, so it's potentially on all mobile, and it's also on Switch. I think we'll probably be playing it mostly on Switch. I was going to try the mobile version just to compare and contrast on both of those and see what the difference is, since we didn't do that on one of the last games that we did, like, what was it, Asphalt 9, since it was on both. I really probably should have compared and contrasted instead of doing it as an afterthought on the website.
Are you going to give away some codes
yes.
too?
Thank you for reminding me. So, the developer of this game did give us 2 extra codes, one for iOS and one for Android. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be setting up a giveaway, and it will be on our Twitter as well as our Facebook page. I will try and get a link up on our Instagram as well. And I'm trying to think of how I should do this. Should we have like a secret code that they have to enter in?
Yes.
To be able to
tweet us the word lemon.
Nope. Hashtag butt biscuits.
Oh God.
If you use hashtag butt biscuits, we will search it on the Twitter and the Instagram, and that'll be your entry.
And the Facebook. Yep. Okay. Yeah. Hashtag
one
butt
word.
Biscuits. We will pull winners on. Actually, do hashtag butt biscuits and then put the platform that you have, iOS or Android, after that. And so we will.
I look forward to your loved ones and friends looking at your feed and seeing hashtag butt biscuits iOS just randomly.
We will pull the winner on the 24th. So you've got 2 weeks to be able to enter in for the contest. Thank you for joining us. If you're listening on iTunes, Spotify, or Stitcher, we ask that you would leave us a 5-star review. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode.
If you do want to enter that contest for the game, you need to go to our social media, specifically Twitter @Budget Arcade, Instagram @Budget Also, we have a Facebook page, facebook.com/Budget Arcade, as well as our website, www.budgetarcade.com.
You can join our Discord from our website as well as our Twitter. You can send any hate mail to show@budgetarcade.com. Music is provided by Stimage, and you can download his music at metroidmetal.com. Game on.